So we're back at Skyhold, and immediately a Reverend Mother talks to us and demands that the left and right hand of the Divine, Leliana and Cassandra, go with her for several months so they can figure out who's going to be the next pope. Now, you think this would be part of the main plot, that is to restore order, but in fact, this isn't even a subplot, and it would have worked out just fine as one. Now, a subplot, to me at least, is where another character tries to accomplish the main plot in a different way. But in order for that to work, the subplot has to reconnect to the main plot. So, if helping out this Reverend Mother here, we eventually appointed a new divine, and then the new divine helped us accomplish our goal, great. Everyone's restoring some order. But this ends up just being an aside, whose only payoff is somewhere in the epilogue, which doesn't impact any of our characters and ultimately has nothing to do with anything. There's no conflict here either. Josephine's like, well, we're too busy. But we could literally just go to Liliana Cassandra and ask them if they want to go with this lady, and that'd be that. Or just let the Reverend Mother go to them. The entire scene here is really quite useless, and it could have been so easily much more, so BioWare is just really boring us here with all this filler. So we go back to the war table.
It's time to plan our next attack. What's the state of the Inquisition?
We're well loved in Orlais. Say the words and Empress Celine will send her support.
And your actions at Adamant denied Corypheus his army of pet demons. With Orlais' support, our numbers match his.
Now this is curious. How do you know our numbers match his? Can I get a ballpark number just so I can wrap my head around this statement? I mean, what kind of intel are we looking at here, O great military leader?
Corypheus' followers must be panicking.
My agents agree. Our victories have shaken his disciples.
That's what we want. Demoralized soldiers fall first. Where is Corypheus now?
After you dealt with the Duchess, Corypheus uprooted his major strongholds. He's moving south to the Arbor Wilds. His army clearly wasn't prepared to flee. Our victories have them on the defensive.
They've terrorized Thedas long enough. We end them now.
And that was the good guy response. So Morrigan, back in her old clothing from the first game, pops in and believes that Corypheus is going nuts looking through elven ruins because he's really after something like this huge magic mirror, which she has somehow carried all the way over to Skyhold.
I restored this one at great cost, but another lies within the Arbor Wilds.
Well, did you? Well, so glad we didn't have that Dragon Age 2 reunion. Meryl would have went nuts.
If Corypheus has turned southward, he could succeed where I failed. The Illuvian would be his.
So let me get this straight. You think he's after an Illuvian in the Arbor Wilds because you tried to find one there and you failed? Okay, how do you know it's even there, and why do you think he wants it? Forgive me for asking, but where is this logic coming from?
What does it do?
Thanks, Morrigan. That's really nice of you.
A more appropriate question would be, where does it lead?
Yeah, we'll just follow you then. I'm totally feeling nothing after having a magical explosion in my face, and we'll just trust this person with our lives now. So we enter this crossroads-like place where all the Illuvians go to meet, I guess. And then we finally ask this obvious question.
Corypheus wants to come here.
This is not the Fade, but it is very close. Someone with enough power could tear down the ancient barriers.
And enter the Fade in the flesh. Like Corypheus wanted to do with the Anchor.
He learned of the Illuvian in the Arbor Wilds as I did. He marshals the last of his forces to reach it.
So it's not the Fade, but it's like the Fade, and I'm not understanding how this is proof of what Corey wants. You're speculating that this place is a Fade substitute, or you can use it to get to the Fade? Okay. So we head back to the war table and choose the next main quest called What Pride Had Wrought.
With an Illuvion, Corypheus could cross into the Fade in the flesh.
Indeed. The Inquisitor can attest that these artifacts still work if one knows how to use them.
Keyword being could. We don't know if this is his plan. The three advisors have a scuffle, we resolve it, we pat ourselves on the back, and we're off to the Arbor Wilds. However, we first need to have some meaningless montage of our various forces walking towards it, our spies lighting apparently enemy tents on fire, and people brandishing swords while we play with figurines on the war table. This is the showcase that we're going to the Arbor Wilds, and it's a big endeavor, and that we have to do it, in fact, with at least a few dozen of our men and women on our command, but Like most of the game, this cutscene was completely unnecessary. We have another meaningless conversation with a no-name captain, and then Morrigan questions their allegiance.
I wonder, is it Andraste your soldiers invoke during battle, or does a more immediate name come to their lips?
This is interesting, as Morrigan is essentially telling us that our soldiers follow us, not Andraste, but nothing really comes of it. It's another meaningless dialogue option. Morrigan says the temple to the north is the Temple of Mythal.
He covets lies within.
Someone just invented gunpowder, and we go through this massive jungle level to get to the temple. This is actually not bad. Morrigan, or perhaps Claudia, is a bit too dramatic on the line she delivers. There's lots of useless commentary and a letter we discover. We kill some Grey Wardens, we pick up some more deadly Soylent Red, and generally have a jolly good time restoring order in the jungle.
These are but remnants. They will not keep us from the Well of Sorrows.
Well of Sorrows?
Okay, Inquisitor, we're spying. You have to be quiet. You sounded way louder than Corey's over there, and he's a deep booming dude. So Corey explodes, lots of people die, his minions advance, and then he comes back to life, apparently with clothing as well.
It cannot be!
Across the bridge! Now!
So instead of us just killing him again when he's weak and being born, we just start running. I mean, what would happen here? All the Warden bodies here would just explode until there's none left. Then we just walk across the bridge and wonder where he'd pop up next, if in fact he does actually resurrect somewhere near us. We're just running scared from a dude whose head we can just lop off. But then his dragon comes by, so now we actually have a good reason to run. And we're running along the same bridge as his minions, running away from the dragon. So we dive into the temple, close the door, and it somehow just magically locks after being hit by fire. Well, hey, wasn't that handy? And why aren't we surrounded by Samson and Corey's minions? I mean, where did they go? Why didn't they just finish us off? What was the whole point of this scenario? To show us that we're scared of our stupid immortal enemy who doesn't want to finish us off? Okay.
At last, Mythal's sanctum. Let us proceed before Corypheus interferes.
You said Corypheus wanted an eluvian, but he mentioned a Well of Sorrows. Which is right?
I am uncertain of what he referred to.
You're not certain. You said you knew what he was looking for.
I suspected. I did not know. Yes, I was wrong. Does that please you?
Morrigan then realizes she was wrong about Corey wanting the Eluvian, which means we're off to find some Well of Sorrows, just because our bad guy wants it, as opposed to just trying to stop him. We find a floor puzzle I guess is good to solve, because elves consider this a form of respect? Okay, sure, elves, floors, gotcha. Samson summons explosions from his hands, he jumps down a hole, and we fight his minions. We have another scene with Morrigan where she suggests we do some more walking rituals instead of going down the hole Samson created.
Performing these rituals may mean the difference between reaching the well before Corypheus's minions and not at all.
We don't know what's behind those doors. They might have a reason for going another way.
Had they the option, they would have proceeded. That must lead to their goal.
Their goal, or yours?
Okay, where did that attitude come from? How do you know that Morrigan is planning something other than trying to stop Corypheus here? So we talked to her, and she's essentially an archaeologist and wants to preserve the past. Cool. She ended up reading more information in the first chamber than she told us previously, that taking part in the Well of Sorrows grants a boon, but at a cost, and she's willing to take the risk if such an opportunity arises. Okay.